Hello, my name is David. Previously, I've uploaded YouTube videos on domestic violence awareness, overcoming anxiety and stress, and defeating depression. Today, I'm going to talk to you about coping with grief. This is a poem I wrote on that subject. Afterwards, I'll explain what I mean by each verse. The word grief can take many forms. It can be felt following the loss of or separation from a partner or parent or child or sibling, a pet or a job, or even someone who you never actually met but somehow felt close to. It is an intensely personal experience which needs patience, love, support, understanding, and a listening ear from those around you. There can be a lot of guilt, of regret, after a person you cherished has passed away. Why didn't I tell them how much I loved them? Why is it me that had to stay? Children, like adults, need to express their feelings, whether it be through words or music or hugs or play. How would you like to remember the loved one? Ask yourself, ask your children, okay? We are born, we love, we listen, we experiment with all that life has to offer, and then we die. The grieving process is painful as we find it hard to say, thanks for being you, as we say goodbye. When someone who we feel close to dies, I believe that some part of their character shifts to us. As such, the cherished one is never totally lost. Which of their traits you'd like to adopt is a topic to discuss. Let's look at that first verse again. The word grief can take many forms. It can be felt following the loss of or separation from a partner, parent, child, sibling, pet, job, or someone who you never met but somehow felt close to. It stands to reason that you'll experience far more pain over the loss of someone or something who or which meant a great deal to you than someone or something which, yes, you do feel sad over their loss, but the attachment wasn't quite so great. For example, you might have had the same job for 20 years, met some wonderful people, were really proud of your efforts. That work played a big role in your happiness, your fulfillment, in your life. To leave would mean a big gap in your life. On the other hand, you might have had a job for 6 months, a job which didn't feel suited to. There may have been arguments with your boss or fellow workers. To leave that job obviously wouldn't mean as much to you. And the same applies to people. When it comes to grieving over the loss of a partner, that can be so hard to deal with, especially when their relationship was based on the values of love, trust, honesty, and respect. There can be that feeling that you are grieving not only over the loss of your partner, but also over the loss of those values. And yes, a large part of who you are. What about the age of the person who died? On a subconscious level anyway, we tend to think that a grandparent or parent will die before we do. And it can be almost incomprehensible that a child, especially a young child, can suddenly die. Regardless of their age, it still comes as a shock to us. Even when a loved one had a terminal illness, we are still never really prepared for their death. The fact is, There is no right time to die. What about the death of a famous singer or film star who you never met but somehow felt close to? Last year, I cried a lot when my favourite singer died. When I see her concerts on YouTube now, she somehow comes back to life, and that's the way I'll remember her. Last year, I met a wonderful person who made the biggest positive impact on my life. She's actually filming this video. Every time I think of her taking up a new job, which will mean I never see her again, I cry. What puts a smile on my face, though, is that I make sure I treasure the times I spend with her now, before she leaves. When she does go, yes, I will grieve. Tears will flow. However, I will somehow cope, largely due to remembering the special times we shared. You can cope with your grief too. Let's revisit verse 2. Grief is an intensely personal experience which needs patience, love, support, understanding, and a listening ear from those around you. Yes, it is a personal experience. There could be 4 members of a family who will grieve over the loss of their parent in their own individual ways. One of them may feel guilt that the last time they spoke to their parent, they swore at them. Another may think of the beautiful words the parent told them. Another might not have seen their parent for a long time, while the other family member may have relied on their parent so much that they can't see any way they can cope without them. And yes, suicide could be considered. Your experience of grief will be different to someone else's. Not better, not worse, but different. Comparing yourself to others at such times is not a good idea. Focus on your own grief instead. Okay? When we say we need others to be patient with us, when we are experiencing grief, or even depression or anxiety and things like that, we are asking a lot of the other person. It can be so hard to be patient, so frustrating. It can be okay at first, but then over time, the other person feels like screaming, "Just how much longer do you want me to be patient?" The best way to prevent that from happening is to explain what's going on in your thoughts and feelings and keep them updated, rather than just assume they know what's going on in your mind and are willing to be patient forever. When we say we need love from others, we mean things like a comforting hand on your shoulder, a soothing voice, and a card from someone with words such as, "I'm sorry that you're going through a tough time. Grief is hard. I am thinking of you, and if you want to talk, I'm letting you know you can talk anytime." Okay? During grief, we do need support. I feel it's extremely important that you describe the type of support you need, whether it's others to stay with you. It could be talking to a counsellor. It could be financial support, support to manage your daily life, or a few days off from work. The support is there. Identify the support you need, and it's likely it will be provided. When we grieve, we do need others to listen to us, to gain some sort of understanding of what we're going through. We don't need to be interrupted or for others to say their words of wisdom. True wisdom, whether it be from a counsellor, friend or partner, is shown by such people when they keep their big mouths shut and listen. When grieving, let your thoughts and feelings flow through the written or spoken words, maybe even in drawing, and let others know how you want them to respond and what you need right now. Let's look at verse 3. There can be a lot of guilt, of regret, after a person you cherished has passed away. Why didn't I tell them how much I love them? Why is it me that had to stay? It's interesting that we do say some beautiful words to describe someone, and we do tell them how special they truly are. And yet, when they die, we often feel guilt and regret about having said some negative, sarcastic, or even just thoughtless comments to the loved one when they're alive. Rather than feel a sense of pride and joy for having brightened up the life of a cherished one with our words and action, we tend to focus and dwell on the relatively few negative words and actions which upset the loved one for just a short time. Try to find someone, anyone who is prepared to listen and talk about your guilt, your regret. The longer you leave it, the longer those feelings tend to remain. And you don't want that. And I'm sure the now deceased one wouldn't want you to carry the burden of guilt and regret with you forever. Would they? Would they? Which warm, heartfelt messages did you say to the loved one? Messages that put a smile on his or her face and made their day. Think about those messages and write them down. Then, whenever you're feeling down or depressed, you can refer to those messages, and the effect? It'll put a smile on your face. Because we don't actually know when a cherished one will die, it's unlikely that the final moments shared will be, "Thanks for being there for me, for all your love and support, and for making me feel so lucky, so blessed to have you by my side. Look after yourself. I won't be with you in body, but I will be with you in spirit. I love you." To which you reply, "Thank you for everything, for the special times we shared, the laughs, the tears. I'll carry you in my heart and soul, in every part of my being, till the day I die. Then we will be united again. I love you." Try not to regret the words you didn't say to each other. Try to treasure the words you did say to each other. And try to treasure the way you felt about each other. The part about, "Why is it me that had to stay?" could be followed by, "My loved one had so much more to offer to so many, but I've got nothing to offer. A mistake was made. It should have been me that died." Is perhaps best answered by the suggestion that you do have a lot to offer. And in the rest of your life, with your cherished one with you in spirit, you can accomplish and inspire far more than you realise at the moment. Let's revisit verse 4. Children, like adults, need to express their feelings whether it be through words, music, hugs or play. How would you like to remember the loved one? Ask yourself, ask your children, okay? It can be hard enough dealing with your own grief, let alone be worried about how your children are coping with their grief. I feel it's so important that you express your feelings, such as sadness, confusion, and guilt, so that your children will be encouraged to do the same. If you keep your feelings inside and your children keep their feelings inside, then you could all end up feeling alone, as if there is some sort of shield around you. Grief is a time when such shields need to be removed. The family which grieves together grows together. You could say words such as, I wish I'd have told him or her more often, I love you. And I wish I hadn't said certain names to him or her when they did something which really annoyed me. Your children could say, that's right, that's how I feel. Don't be afraid to say to your children, I need a lot of hugs right now. To expose your vulnerability, your sadness and pain, shared with your children, is a sign of your strength, your character, and that of your family. Some children, like adults, find it hard to actually say how they're feeling. If that's the case with your children, encourage them to write or draw or play music expressing how they're feeling. You could even do the same. How would you like to remember the loved one? How would your children like to remember that person? There's no need to think of something incredibly deep or serious. It could be that the deceased made you laugh or cry when they sang a song badly. Your children might remember how their parent pulled funny faces when they were eating spaghetti. If that's the case, how about as a family tribute to the person that you all sing a song badly and that you all eat spaghetti pulling faces? Doing something like that, that's just one example, I'm sure you'll think of your own, would be a great release of feelings. The family that laughs together, that cries together, that grieves together, grows together in times of joy and in times of grief. In 6 months' time, someone might ask you, how did you and your family cope in your time of grief? Your answer might be something like, we coped as a family, not as a group of individuals. Someone may ask your children the same question, and hopefully they'll reply with a similar answer, such as, we coped as a family, we grieved as a family. Now let's look at verse 5. We are born, we love, we learn, we experiment with all that life has to offer, and then we die. The grieving process is painful as we find it hard to say, thanks for being you, as we say goodbye. The greatest gift a newborn baby receives is to be told and to be shown by the looks on the parents' faces that he or she is loved and that their parents truly love each other. As that baby grows into a child and in an adult, that beautiful, unique human being will most likely fall in love, be loved, learn so much, often from making mistakes, meet some truly wonderful people and some not so wonderful people, experiment with life, do some hard work, go to some great places, and even raise a family of their own. If that's the case with you or someone you know, it seems so incredibly cruel and unfair that at some point on life's journey, we have to die. Why? Why can't we live forever? Why are some lives cut short, often in tragic circumstances, when they have so much more to offer? Why be born when we have to die? So many questions, so few satisfactory answers. I've got my ideas, but in time, I'm confident you'll come up with your own. Yes, the grieving process is painful. Let your tears flow. Among the tears, there may well be some anger too. You might feel like saying to the deceased, "Why didn't you go to the doctor when I told you? Now you're dead, and what am I supposed to do? Damn you!" If that's the case with you, write such words on paper as a release. Anger, like most emotions, is best released rather than have it contained inside, where it can trigger all sorts of mind and body reactions. When you say, "Thanks for being you," as you say goodbye, what was it about that person that made them such a special, beautiful individual? Was it the way he or she spoke? Maybe they had a cheeky grin or made everybody laugh. It might have been that they never lost their charm, their beauty, their innocence from when they were a newborn baby. That baby grew, loved, learned, cared for others, experimented with all that life had to offer, and now be grateful that you were part of that life. Now it's time to say goodbye. Before I talk about my final verse, I'd like to comment on two other aspects of coping with grief. The first is that rather than wait till someone is very sick or dies till you tell them how much they mean to you, that you actually tell them when you're with them now, every day, before they leave you. Every day, tell them how you love them. After all, the loved one could lose their life in a car accident tomorrow. So don't delay. Tell them today. Do you know of someone else who's struggling? How about you make a special effort to contact that person? Your smile, your words of comfort, your positive approach, your brave approach could make such a difference to that person's life. It could even prevent their suicide. Don't wait till next week to deliver your compassion, your kindness, your tenderness, your love onto others. Deliver it today, whether it be through spoken or written words, or even a special gift such as a beautiful red rose. Such words, such actions will not only ease your grief, but will also say a lot about you as a person. And that will be remembered fondly by those who will eventually mourn your death. When the time comes that you will die, how would you like to be remembered? Perhaps as a loving partner, a parent of talented children, hard-working, fun to be with, who saw a love of the world and wasn't afraid to take the odd risk. That description may suit you perfectly. On the other hand, it might not. I'd like to remember you as a caring person who never stopped learning about the endless possibilities that life had to offer and was willing to pass on your words of wisdom onto others who were fortunate enough to listen. Last year, I was sure I was going to die in a skydiving accident. I remember thinking as I was falling, I should have. When I somehow survived, I reflected, I should have done this and that and said that before it's too late. Don't leave it too late for you. I stress, don't leave it too late to deliver your compassion, your kindness, your love onto others who are willing to receive such precious gifts of yours. Do you want to do something fun with a loved one? Do it. The more fun times you have, the more sweet words you share, the more you'll cope with grief and loss and regard in time the grieving process as, yes, being painful, but also, perhaps more importantly, as a celebration of life. Let's revisit the final verse. When someone who we feel close to dies, I believe that some part of their character shifts to us. As such, the cherished one is never totally lost. Which of their traits you'd like to adopt is a topic to discuss. When that lovely person dies, it is common to hold on to some of their belongings, such as jewellery, a photo, or clothing for a while. It's part of the grieving process. It's also part of the healing process. It's as if to say, you are gone in body, but by holding on to your possessions, I'm letting you know you'll always be a part of me. However, I strongly believe that in time, it's far more important to consider what made that loved one oh so special to you, and to then merge those traits into your own character. It could be that the loved one always made an extra effort to look their best before going outside. It could be they made a point of having friendly conversations with people, even those they didn't like. It could be that they always donated their time and money to charity at Christmas, or rarely raised their voice in anger, for example. I'm sure you'll think of other traits, such as a great sense of humour that the loved one had, which you can now adopt. That sense of humour becomes part of your character, and every time you laugh and say something funny, it's as if the now deceased person is laughing and saying something funny at the same time as you. In a way, the cherished one is closer to you than ever. All the qualities which made the person so beautiful are far, far more important, far more valuable than any of their possessions. How about you make a list of those qualities and refer to those and even talk about that list with those close to you? They may even adopt some of those qualities of the deceased and incorporate those qualities into their own character. How does that sound? The greater the number of people who do that, the more likely it is that the legacy of the cherished one will be the ultimate legacy, which is that those closest to the person including you, the community and the world at large will be left in a more beautiful place as a result of that person and the positive impact they made. Think about that. How well have you been listening? I've got a quiz for you. Question 1. When is the right time to tell someone how much they mean to you and how you feel about them? A, when they've died. B, when they're very sick. Or C, when they're well. The answer is all of the above. Question 2. Is there ever a right time to die? A, yes. B, no. The answer is no. Question 3. Compared to someone else's experience with grief, will your experience be A, better, B, different, or C, worse? The answer is different. Question 4. Would the person who is now gone, who has died, want you to carry guilt and regret with you forever? A, yes. B, no. The answer is no. Question 5. Complete this saying. The family which grieves together. The answer is grows together. Question 6. Which is more important? A, to keep as many of the possessions of the loved one as you can. B, to adopt some qualities of the loved one and incorporate those into your own character. The answer is to adopt some qualities of the loved one and incorporate them into your own character. Thank you. Now, if this video has been disturbing for you, take care and don't be afraid to cry or to reach out to someone, including me. My thoughts are with you, okay? For more information on how to contact me, please see further details in the bio below.